Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Andrea Beeman Speaks Out. I've heard around town and through the grapevine that there are lots of people in the world that think that there is no virus. Not me. I know that there's definitely a virus and it's dangerous to our health and our happiness. It's an anti-wisdom virus, and unfortunately, it's affecting millions of people around the world. Thankfully, I found a cure, and it comes in the form of a human being named Hilda Gore. She's a holistic health coach, a fitness professional, and the host of the Wise Traditions podcast. So perk up your ears and get ready for some deep listening with my guest, Holistic Hilda, and I'll see you at the end. Welcome to Andrea Beeman Speaks Out. This is where you get access to uncensored, holistic, and alternative healing wisdom to support your body, mind, and spirit, and help you live a happier and more vibrant life while you're living on planet Earth in a perfectly designed human body. And you get it all without any bullcrap or nonsense. Let's dive into today's episode.
So, Andrea, I'm reading this amazing book called The Women Who Run with the Wolves. And it is about the archetypal female. And it's saying that we kind of have more power within us than we may have ever realized. And I think each of us holds that little chispa spark in us that can be fanned into a flame or tamped down. It depends on who we're around, but we can do our best to, fan it ourselves and live into the strong women that we are. And actually, that's one reason I love connecting with you, because I think you bring that. I hope I bring that. And I think we can encourage other women to be all they were meant to be.
Oh, you totally bring that. You bring that. You're a little spitfire, Hilda.
Oh, that makes me so happy. My nickname over the years has been Chispa, which means spark. So, hey.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's so interesting. That book that you're referencing, I think it's Clara Pinkola Estes. I think that's the author. I read it about 20 years ago, and I loved it because it's written in story form. It's just wisdom about women and power. And, even the crone has been made to be a bad thing in the modern world, right? But in the ancient times, the crone actually had an amazing purpose. There's wisdom. There's so much stuff that women especially, and this is nothing against men, but that women especially bring to the table and bring to the earth.
Yeah. And you're making me think about, all those Madison Avenue ads about cream to defy aging and this and that. They're helping us, or rather shaping us to disregard age, when actually there's something very beautiful about the people who are older than we are, and we can learn something from them. But by discounting their appearance, we may be discounting much more than that.
Oh, 100%. And that brings me to your mission on the planet, which is, you have a lot of missions, but one in particular is to bring the ancient wisdom into the modern world. And I appreciate that wholeheartedly, because that's where I live. I live in the ancient practices in the modern world. But what because you've done traveling around the world, what is something that is missing from the modern human that the ancient humans used to do to live healthfully and happily on the planet?
I think it is profound listening. When I was in Australia, an Aboriginal woman told me that in her culture, because there are actually many, many tribes represented by the Aboriginal people, in her culture, they had a practice called Dadiri. And it was a practice of deep listening. And if we stop, Andrea, if we get off the treadmill and the long to-do list, trust me, I know I have 4 kids, they're young adults now, but we're all always running with a million things to do, right? But we need to make sure to take time to stop, to listen to ourselves, to listen to what the Great Spirit might have to say to us, what our ancestors might have to say to us. There is so much more happening that can help us live well today than just getting on a Peloton bike, if you know what I mean. And I hope we're not just drowning out the silence, because I remember early on in the pandemic, a neighbor of mine was saying, "Oh, I'm so happy for this time to catch up on things on Netflix." And I'm not trying to judge that, but I think how sad that he's not taking the time to listen to himself. Who knows what he could discover if he stopped? So close out the outside voices for a bit. This is my recommendation if you want to live kind of ancestrally in our modern world. Step number one, close out the outside voices and focus on what your spirit, the great spirit, and other spirits may have to say to you.
I think that's amazing advice. And when I look around at the world and what's happening, it's so clear that there has been a disconnect from the human body, mind, spirit, just completely disconnected. And Western medicine, and I'm not bashing Western medicine focuses on body and pieces of the body and parts and separates the body. And I know, or at least from my experience living on the planet, I've come to realize that you cannot separate the mind, body, and spirit. It's all connected. and 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 when we look around at even what happened in 2020, right? They separated people and told people to be afraid of other people. But in the ancient cultures, all of the people are connected. And then all of the people are connected and connected to the planet and the entire universe. So the disconnect has been so detrimental to human health.
That's so true. And I think in some ancient cultures, isolation was a punishment. To be separated from the tribe, sometimes people would die, not because they couldn't survive, but because their spirit, Andrea, felt rejected and alone. So no wonder my daughter says her friends are all depressed and anxious. Not everyone is making the choices that you and I are to get outside and to stay connected in some ways. But when you get isolated like that, that means death to the spirit. And that, of course, is just as important as what we do for our body and our minds.
Yeah. So you have the Weston Price podcast. And I love that the Aboriginal woman told you that you're on your path, because you are. So with your podcast, what are you bringing to the world? What is the theme that you're bringing to the world?
I think it's in part what I said a moment ago, that people need to trust their own intuition. We're so busy looking at the experts with, as Joel Salatin says, the alphabet soup after their name, that we don't trust ourselves. Now, let me correct that to say this. People who have medical issues and have gone to conventional doctor after conventional doctor after conventional doctor and have been told, you're crazy, take this pill, your charts look fine, and keep persevering. The reason they keep persevering and looking for more help is because they realize what I just heard isn't true. So I think we need to have a healthy skepticism of what the experts might say, and again, do some deep listening to discover what it is. Honestly, on the podcast, we talk to, yes, medical doctors, also to unconventional doctors and farmers and indigenous people, because everyone has something to bring to the table. So the reason I said earlier, listen to yourself, is because there are going to be guides. You mentioned earlier the crone, there'll be going to be guides, ancient people and other people who are going to have wisdom to bring to you. That's great. But we need to have the wisdom to discern the voices, right? Which is just trying to sell me a bill of goods and which is trying to actually help me. And to do that, we have to be kind of grounded. And that leads me to one practice that indigenous people did very naturally, and that is literally getting their feet on the ground. As we're recording this, yesterday was Earth Day, and I said in a social media post, touch it, because I feel like I've had some Earth days where I'm like, yay, Earth, yes, let's recycle, let's stop using all the fossil fuels, blah, blah, blah. And I never literally touched it all day. And I think I shouldn't say I know that we need that literal grounding. Do you know our cortisol levels come down when we are on the earth? We can kind of discharge this positive charge that our bodies have accumulated from all the Wi-Fi and cell towers and stuff. We upload the negative charge that the earth gives us, its electrons, and it's just so wonderful for the body and the spirit and the mind. But it's something that we've insulated ourselves from with shoes and houses and all the rest. So that's one ancient practice I would recommend right off the bat.
Wow. And you know what's interesting? I'm a big fan of TCM, right? I use it in my practice, traditional Chinese medicine. On the bottom of the feet is the kidney 1 point. And you talked about getting grounded.
Yeah.
Right? So the kidney 1 point is right at the bottom of the foot. And when we connect it to the earth, we literally become part of the earth, right? It's our direct connect, almost like our antenna, boop, that puts us right here on the earth, and we know exactly where we are and what we're supposed to do and all that stuff. And human beings are the only creature that has disconnected from the energy of the earth, and we're lost. The vast majority are just lost. They don't know what to eat. They don't know what to do. They have no purpose, no right? They're just wandering around aimlessly in the world. And part of it is that they're disconnected literally from the earth.
Yeah, some people say we have nature deficit disorder, which is true. And what a simple thing to put our feet on the earth. I also think when I was talking about listening, it reminds me of children because they are just doing what they feel like doing, right? Sometimes we want them to come sit at the table, they want to play outside, but I say we need to kind of cultivate that childlike spirit too and be a little more wild and free like the women who run with the wolves. Like if they say, "Let's go outside, Mommy," I'll be like, "Yeah, let's put off dinner for a minute. Let's go outside." Like feel free to play and explore because I think that will give us more a sense of who we are and where we're supposed to be going.
And you said that you have 4 children?
Yes, yes. And girl, can I just say, when they were born, they were all over 9 pounds. They were huge, and I had them naturally, and I'm a very petite person, and so that was nigh miraculous in and of itself.
Oh my God, you're little. You're a big powerhouse of a woman, but like actual physical size, you're little. 4 kids, and I think I read on your website that you had them back to back.
I did. I think they call them, I was trying for twins kind of is what it was. I never got them, so I just had them really close together. I did not know that it was a wise tradition to space out your kids. Literally, I learned that later. It's one of the wise traditions principles is about like preparing your body for conception, but also spacing out. How did ancient cultures do this? They didn't have, birth control and all these things. Sally has told me, the president of the foundation, that some women in certain tribal cultures would wear like a necklace, kind of letting the husband know, like, stay away from me for a time because she was busy breastfeeding, and probably recuperating. And when you allow your body to have that space between babies, it has a chance to kind of restore and prepare for the next pregnancy. I didn't do much of that. I'm kind of an intense person anyway, like boom, 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 let's do this. It turned out well though, because I have to say now my kids are friends with each other because they're so close together. They have a lot in common and it's lovely to see.
Oh, that's really nice. What are your thoughts as a health and wellness advocate, right? So you sharing wisdom, ancient wisdom, and helping people get healthy naturally. What are your thoughts on, I know it's a loaded question, vaccines? Or at least this one.
Ah, okay. Well, I wouldn't recommend this one in particular, because it is authorized for emergency use only. And what that means is it hasn't gone through all the safety testing. Not only that, but Fauci and the World Health Organization have said that it doesn't necessarily prevent infection or transmission. So even though the ads, and we were talking earlier about Madison Avenue and the ad companies, the ads paint the picture like, oh, you do this and you get to hug your grandmother again, and it's all very emotionally tugging at the heartstrings. But the reality is, there are no guarantees with this whatsoever. And I personally spoke with a frontline nurse recently, and she said they are seeing in the ICU and in the ER a correlation between the people getting the injection and cases rising. So I think it's really important to proceed with caution and to ask the important questions about if its efficacy and the risks. And personally, I've also seen, and I have the reference for this as well, that not over 99% of the population recovers from COVID. But it's a real gamble if you're going to inject a concoction into your veins, and you're not going to be sure. There's no guarantees percentage wise on your survival rate of that, or few adverse reactions. And again, the ads make it seem like, well, that's a rare case. I would do a little more digging if I were just a regular person. But being me, I will tell you that today on the street, I ran into a neighbor and she said, Hilda, she said, you're not getting that, coronavirus vaccine, are you? And I said, oh no. And then I thought, oh, even the way she phrased it though, I thought, it must be as plain as the nose on my face, because literally I was wearing no mask, that I'm not going to go down that road. Much like you, Andrea, I'm just convinced that our bodies are fully able to meet whatever comes their way. And if not, we need to do what we can to prepare them for that. Because as you see, There are variants, there are other diseases and things that are going to float around. And are we just going to hide every time? Personally, I don't want to die longer. I want to live longer. So that's why I'm going about my business. I'm going about my life, and I'm doing my best to lead a healthy life so that my body can meet the challenges of life.
That's wonderful. So, do you think that humans will make it through this challenging time a little bit wiser than they were before?
Yes, I would say yes, because I have interviewed doctors on, different sides of this issue in particular. But in particular, I'm remembering one who said to me, the silver lining of this pandemic is that people are seeing how the sausage is being made. In other words, it is clearer than ever that pharmaceutical companies are trying to make money, even though it seems like they're, got goodwill for us. But just like when they manufacture drugs, they're trying to rake in the money. And so they had to stop the one vaccine recently because it was causing blood clots. But guess what? All of the three front runners are causing blood clots. So um, it's making people be more hesitant. And I actually like to say vaccine hesitancy is really just common sense. It is
Yes.
good to have common sense and say, hold up. Should I rush into this when the survival rate is over 99%? I think I'm going to wait. And that's just common sense too, right?
Well, the common sense comes, I think, like what you said earlier, when we slow down and we go inside and we listen,
Yes.
right? So most people are too busy rushing around and got to do this, got to do that, right? In the phone, in the computer, draining their natural energies with all of the electronic equipment that we're surrounded by, as well as the bombardment of EMFs and radiation, and you name it. And we don't listen to the self, and we don't hear from the universe. And I believe personally that we are connected. We're spirits living in a human body at this time on the planet, and we always have guidance and wisdom coming from the ancestors. It's there. But if we're always all over the place with everything and this news story and that news story and this doctor, and everybody's telling us everything externally, where's the internal wisdom? Where's the common sense?
Oh, it's so true. And I recall as a young mom with my babies, and I, as we said, I had four in a row, but one of them, I don't remember which, the doctors were saying, don't lay your baby on its back because there's a thing called sudden infant death syndrome and they could die. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I'd lay them on their side. And then I promise you, within the span of all my kids, they changed the recommendations. Then it was suddenly lay them on their stomach or something. It was just changing. And I thought, wait, this doesn't make sense. Why is it flip flopping so much? And I just think, again, and actually, as a young mom, I was listening some to my intuition because I thought, when I get to that hospital, I want to have these babies naturally. Women all over the earth for millennia have been having babies without any assistance. And so I had done some training with the Bradley method, and they say, just try to avoid interventions because if you get going, when you get there, they want to give you an IV, for example, to keep you hydrated. But then later they'll be like, let's put some Pitocin in there to speed things along. And then you might want an epidural. And I thought, oh my gosh, I want to avoid all that. So when I got in, I just got the ice chips, and I was like, okay, I want to stay hydrated. I'm going to do it my way. And it was wonderful and it was beautiful and it worked. So I think you're right. We need to do some deep listening, but we can also get clues from what has worked in the past. And as I recall from a conversation with a Kenyan warrior, he said, when we were little, we never got sick. He's like, we never really got sick. If we felt a shiver coming on, he said we would drink milk from the cow, and he demonstrated drinking milk straight from the udder.
Wow.
Yes. He's like, but now they say diseases are coming and we have to get shots. He said, but we didn't have diseases. And I'm like, okay, there is a lot of wisdom here. And it was when I spoke to him, Andrea, this man in Kenya in 2015, who's still alive, and I'm sure he's over 100 years old now. I thought these stories need to get out. This kind of wisdom needs to get out. So again, I've had the opportunity to interview people like that on the podcast, but also, health professionals of all ilk and stuff like that. And I'm listening, but I'm also listening to myself. So I feel like that's a theme of today's podcast, isn't it?
That is. Well, you're listening and you're listening to yourself, but another thing that you're doing, which I think is really wise, is you're sharing, right? You're sharing the knowledge and the wisdom that makes sense and that comes to you. And then if someone else hears it, it may make sense to them. That little spark will go off and go, oh, that's that's resonating with me on a much deeper level than on a fear level, right? So the information that we have out in the world today, that's being bombarded, shoved down people's throats is fear-based. But the Kenyan man, when he spoke about disease, that they didn't have any, that's like a fearlessness, that he was living in his human body without any fear. There was no disease, right? Just living.
Yep. I mean, now and then, like a rhinoceros or something would come into their camp. There might have been some fear. But guess what? That is different than the chronic state of stress and fear that we're in now. In other words, literally, actually, my friend Dixon Gisa, who is still in this small village in Oiti in Kenya, he literally posted a picture on Facebook the other day. This is going to sound crazy, but it's true. And he's like, look what the elephants did to our garden. And there were elephants that kind of stormed through his garden and all their crops, and it just decimated it. But they couldn't do anything because they're elephants, So the family just had to like wait it out, and now they just have to start again. So there are things, but that was one night. And then Dixon's still in his community and he's got his family, and it's like a beautiful thing. But we have our work stress and our relational stress. And it's, I think, a situation in which we're on such a high alert status all the time that wearing out our adrenal glands, we're wearing ourselves out. So we need to find a way to put the pause button on, like we said earlier, and kind of recharge from the earth, from ourselves, from whatever cultivates that in us, that peace, so that our body can get back in that parasympathetic rest and digest mode. When you were talking about the kidney point on the foot, it occurred to me that indigenous people might not have known that bit, but they knew enough to have their feet on the ground, So I may not learn all the scientific reasons for things, but you can bet I'm going to do my best to document what they are doing that we can still do today wherever we are.
I love that. And I want people to put their feet on the ground wherever you are. So where can people find out more about you and what you're sharing with the world?
I spend a lot of time on Instagram because I love really just connecting with people directly. It's a quick turnaround. So they can find me at Holistic Hilda there. I've got my YouTube channel, Holistic Hilda, where I put up the best of, experts and experiences and adventures. I'm on Telegram just a little bit. And also they can just reach out to me directly through holistichealthre.com, because I do like to help people actually in podcasting. If people just want to do like a quick 15-minute consult, I can give you some feedback on your podcast idea, especially if you're in the health and wellness space. Like that makes me really happy because it helps spread the word about ancient wisdom and alternative health protocols.
Oh, you're a good egg, Hilda. And I'm so happy that you spent your time and your energy and your wisdom with us here today.
Oh, Andrea, it was my pleasure. I can't wait to see you and give you a great big hug.
A big hug, not from 6 feet away, body to body.
Yes, baby. You know it. You know it. We'll exchange DNA.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for everything, Hilda.
All right. My pleasure, my friend. I will see you soon.
So what did you think of our little chispa, holistic Hilda, the fearless little spark that she is? She's great, right? I love her energy, and I love her ability to gather wisdom from the elders and from the ancient people and then share it with the masses and share it with the modern people, because we need it now more than ever. So if you've been inspired or curious about something that she said, hop on over to holistichealthre.com and get your daily injection of wisdom. Big thanks and a whole lot of love for tuning in today. All we have in life is time, and I am honored that you spent your time with me. If you are inspired and want to learn more, head on over to www.andreabeeman.com and sign up to receive updates about reclaiming your health and your happiness in the most delicious and easy ways.